What's going on, everyone? Happy Friday. Welcome to the Score Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Have you been wondering where everybody's gone in these trades and how this is going to impact your fantasy basketball team going forward? Well, stick right here for Waiver Wire Queen to give you some great players to consider adding Week 18 in fantasy basketball. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you can see more great content from your favorite fantasy basketball analyst, Waiver Wire Queen. All right, y'all. I don't know about you guys, but I'm just glad the trade deadline has passed because there were so many moves, and some of those moves probably impacted your team. Players you were expecting to have a great second half of the season may not, due to being traded. Some players, their stock may have taken a hit just because they were traded teams that are stacked at that position or just have great talent, so they're not going to produce as much. And then there are some players that have been moved, which has cleared time for other players to be given an opportunity to show up and produce. But nonetheless, let's talk about some players that you should consider adding this week. Goga Vitaz. I'm sure I'm hacking his name up, but center from the Pacers. Y'all know who I'm talking about. So Sabonis was traded. Obviously, that was expected. Wish he would have been traded to my Bulls, but nonetheless, he was traded, and Miles Turner has been out. So this has freed up more minutes. Like, he was playing very well, However, with the Sabonis trade, that has just freed up additional minutes for him to pretty much play. So he's a player that you definitely should be taking a look at, seeing what the Pacers are going to be doing with him going forward. He's a center. They obviously need a center when two of your top centers are not available. Obviously, one due to trade and the other one injuries or whatever the case may be. So he's a player you definitely should be considering picking up. Just look at what he's doing, and if you continue to see those minutes increase, he will be a great add because he's going to rebound the ball, he's going to score the ball, he's going to do a little bit of everything, and that will be great production for your team. Obviously, this is all for deep leagues. If you are in a league that's 10 plus teams, this is for you, because you already know it is hard to find players on waiver wire. The wire is always dried up because everybody is on somebody's team, but we can definitely weed through and find players. He averages a little over 11 fantasy points on the season. That has gone up over the last few weeks because he's been playing more, because he's been given an opportunity. Over the last 2 weeks, he's averaged 6 points, 2 rebounds, 1.5 blocks, and a steal. I want to see those rebounds increase. You can't be no damn center and only average 2 rebounds, okay? But again, wasn't playing a lot. I'm going to expect that to increase. If his role expands like I'm expecting it to, his rebounds should increase, y'all. So don't look at that and be like, oh, okay, you're a center, you can't even rebound the ball. Well, that's because he hadn't had a lot of opportunity season. You're not going to get on the floor when you got Sabonis and then Miles Turner out there ahead of you. But nonetheless, opportunity is here. So if he can increase those rebounding totals specifically, and he's scoring the ball a bit more, he's definitely a great add. Let's talk about stock up Chris Duarte with the Pacers. Plays the guard spot and the forward spot. So if you are in a Yahoo league, he's tabbed as a guard or forward, so that helps you. In a sleeper app, I have him, but he's only tabbed as a guard. I really wish they would open that up a bit forward because he's playing both positions. Nonetheless, the trade of LeVert has helped him. I mean, he was having a great season early on, and then I also said, hey, once LeVert comes back, his stock is going to decrease. It's going to take a hit. He did, but still found a way to produce. I expect Duarte to produce statistically what he was producing early on prior to LeVert joining the Pacers, because he was out early on because of injuries. So his season stats, he averages 13.6 points, 4.2 rebounds, and then a steal. He's rostered at 60% right now in Yahoo leagues. He's going to get you between 23 and 25 fantasy points. So if you're in a points-based league, that's not bad. I expect that to increase slightly. And then also over the last week, he's averaging over 19 points, over 3 rebounds, and 3 assists. I expect his stats to increase. And also you got Brogdon in and out of the lineup, injuries. Obviously, you got Tyrese in the building. So some will say, oh, he's going to take a hit. No, I think they'll be able to play together, especially if Brogdon is out of the lineup. And obviously, Levert's not there. Duarte is going to produce. I believe Levert was expendable because of how well Chris Duarte was playing early on in the season. So they got to see that, okay, this is a great move. We have players that are playing the same position, and also the team's not going anywhere. Let's go with the younger guy, cheaper guy, and move the older guy. Well, not really at all, because even though Duarte is a rookie, and that's what we're meaning, he's an older rookie. We're talking about in league years. He's a rookie. Levert's the more seasoned vet, and his salary is going to cost more. We know that. So you move on from Levert because your team isn't doing that well. Okay, so again, trades and injuries have freed up and should pretty much free up more minutes for Duarte. And you won't be disappointed. So if you still have opportunity to pick him up. I was, again, able to pick him up in a sleeper league. Unfortunately, I cannot use him in the guard spot. I mean, in the forward spot. I can use him as a guard, but I really want to be able to, use him both, because that's what he's doing. But nonetheless, it's all good. Another player you should definitely check for is Davion Mitchell, guard with the Sacramento Kings. With the trade of Tyrese Halliburton, that frees up minutes. And again, he has been playing well. He was playing very well when Darren Fox was out. He's going to have more opportunity, and he has produced. Right now, he's rostered in 55% of Yahoo leagues. In a points-based league, going to get you between 19 and 21 fantasy points. His season averages are a little over 10 points per game, 2.3 rebounds, and a little over 3.5 assists. Over the last 2 weeks, he's been averaging over 17 points and 2.5 rebounds and 5 assists. So he has been playing very well. And the key thing is, when you identify a player who is given an opportunity and they are making the most of that opportunity, that is the kind of player we want on our team. That's the player we're picking up waivers to help our team for whatever period of time, however well they are playing. So again, with him showing that, hey, I got the opportunity, I'm going to do the damn thing and produce. We want the players who will produce. Ain't nothing like picking up a player who's getting an opportunity and you're not producing. That's wasteful. This is not wasteful because he is producing. Let's talk about another winner who should have a stock up. His stock should be increased, Dorian Finney-Smith. One of the big reasons, obviously, is Porzingis was traded from the Mavs. Another big thing is the Mavs just signed him to a lucrative long-term deal, which means he's a part of what they're doing currently and in the future. And with that, you want a player like that because obviously more minutes with Porzingis being no longer in the building, and also because they've shown that he's a part of the long-term plan. And he has played very well this season at times. I think he'll be more consistent because his role should slightly increase a bit. He's rostered in over 37% of Yahoo leagues. He's going to get you between 21 and 23 fantasy points. So he is definitely a good add. And again, I expect his stats to slightly increase and for him to be more consistent. And he's a forward. So he's probably going to be capable of being slotted in a power forward spot. If you're in a league that has the tab just forward, that's great. Small forward, whatever forward position, he'll be able to play it for you. His season averages, he averages 10 points, a little over 4 rebounds, and 1.5 steals per game. So he's definitely a great pickup and a player to keep your eye on. Don't wait until he produces a little more because Porzingis is out and it's consistent and you miss out because someone else picks him up. Hamadou Diallo has been playing a bit better. I know he's had some times where he's played very well and then some little stretches where not so well. With Cunningham out with the hip injury, Grant has been up and down since he has returned from injury, and he's not playing a lot of minutes. His minutes is kind of all over the place. which means Diallo is a really good ad. Right now he's rostered in 27% of leagues. I really wanted to pick him up last week in the league, and I didn't, and that came back to bite me in the butt. And again, I'm just letting you know my own experience with that. So if you want to pick up a player and you know that, hey, this guy is going to produce, don't second guess it, because you look at the stats later and said, see, I thought he was going to do well. He's picking it up a bit, so he's a player you should be looking at. If you have Cunningham and Cunningham is out, maybe pick up Diallo. If you can't pick up player who's going to produce somewhere at the level of Cunningham. So right now it's going to get you between 21 and 23 fantasy points in a points-based league. So that's something to look out for. He averages 11 points, 4.8 rebounds, and 1.2 steals. With Diallo, he's going to play good defense. And he's having a good season, even with the inconsistencies at times. This is with the Pistons. They are kind of all over the place. To me, give it up to your young guys. The expectations was to trade Grant. They wanted way more than what Grant is worth. And so now you're stuck with him, but you're not clearing up minutes, opening up minutes for your younger players, which Diallo is one of the younger players. He should be a part of what they do going forward. But nonetheless, right now, he is seeing the minutes again and should be someone on your radar. Trey Man has been playing very well. We talked about him last week. I'll talk about him again this week. As long as he continues to see minutes, he's getting opportunity, and he's producing, use him. Talked about him last week. I think he was rostered at maybe 1-2%. It has gone up to 6%, which is not high considering he has been playing very well. You got Gilgeous-Alexander, who is still out, probably going to be out at maybe up until, after the All-Star break. And so he's seeing the minutes. So why not pick him up? If it's DFS, he's cheap. His salary is not going to cost you much. So he's an option. I used him one game last week, and he got me over 25 points and on FanDuel. I think it was about 25 points on FanDuel, and his salary wasn't high. So that was great value considering I'm like, I didn't pay a lot for him, and he produced for my team. And that's what you look for, especially in FanDuel, especially if you're pairing up players, like you're pairing your top guys with some role players whose salary's not going to cost much, but they're going to produce. So that's what you look for in DFS. But again, in a points-based league, in your fantasy basketball league, he is right now someone who should be on your radar as long as he's seeing the minutes and he's producing. Again, if he's seeing the minutes, he's getting an opportunity, he's not producing, then you don't think twice about adding him. But the fact that he is producing, you add him. Over the last 2 weeks, he's averaged over 12 points per game, over 2 rebounds, and 1.4 steals. That's not bad considering wasn't playing that well, and he's shooting a solid percentage from 3. So he's definitely a player to check for. Do y'all think Justise Winslow is going to keep this up? I don't know, y'all. I Justise Winslow, I'm sure everybody had high hopes for him. My brother thought he was about to be the best thing coming out when he was drafted by Miami. That obviously has not worked. Well, he's traded to the Blazers. He's been all over the damn league. I can't keep up with Winslow, but he's been traded to the Blazers. So far, he has been producing for the Blazers, and he's a player you definitely should look at. He can play forward. They may throw him in at the because the one thing about Justise Winslow, he sticks with the team because he can play defense. Nothing else, he can play defense. Okay. Opportunity is there. He's getting the minutes, and he's so far producing. Right now, he's rostered in 24% of Yahoo leagues, so he's a player you need to look at. Okay. Go on and look at him. I watched someone in one of my other leagues pick him up, and I'm like, I see what you're doing. You out here picking Justise Winslow up. You see what he's doing on the season. 9 points, 6.8 rebounds, 1 block, 2 steals. Again, with Winslow, if he's not going to score the ball, he's going to rebound the ball. He's going to play great defense, which leads to blocks and steals. And he's not going to be shooting 3. So he's not going to hurt your field goal percentage in a categories-based league. But again, with opportunity and production, you want this player. And again, definitely in a deep league. He's definitely another player you can look at in DFS because his salary is not that high right now, and he's going to at least get you 25 fantasy points. So if you can get someone on a low salary, they get you 25, maybe push it to 30 in DFS. you got some great value for the salary. So with Winslow, check him out. Points-based league, season averages 14, max 16, but that has increased with the opportunity to play more. And again, with the Blazers looking like they're in rebuild mode, the minutes are there. Norman Powell's not there. The minutes are there. So look at Winslow. If he continues to produce, this can become a long-term solution. Right now, I'm looking at him like, I'm going to check you out on a short-term basis because of his history. But if he continues to do this, he's going to be a great ad, and you don't want to wait until you miss out. Like, I'm considering picking him up for Saturday in one of my other leagues because I'm like, I need some help here at the 4 spot. So I'm considering it. Let's talk about D'Anthony Milton, who has been consistent as hell for the most part for the Grizzlies. You know, he's going to play the guard spot. They may throw him in there, the 4 spot with small ball situations. Right now, he's rostered in 41% of Yahoo leagues. He is definitely a great option. And when I say he's a great option, it's because he's just been consistent for the most part. He's playing at least 22 to 23 minutes on a nightly basis. So he is seeing the minutes. He's in the rotation and he's producing so he can help your team. Again, he's one of those guys, if you looking for someone with a cheap salary in DFS, he can help you. And also in a deep league, he can help your team if you don't want to look at him as a long-term solution because, hell, you just like working a waiver wire every day, every other day. He's a player that definitely will help your team. He averages between 23 and 25 fantasy points on a season. How many players are on waivers who's doing that consistently for the season? Yes, you're looking at Milton like, he's helping your team. He's going to help your team, all right? Picked him up the other week, and he has been helping my team. Once he starts showing me that he can no longer help my team, I will move on from him. I'm not tied to him because when you are working a waiver wire in a deep league, some of these guys you're not tied to because they're not going to be producing long term, or it's just for a short period of time. And I don't care. You use them for their production and then move on, okay? Check for him. Season averages 9.8 points, 4.5 rebounds, shoots a solid percentage of threes, 2.7 assists and a steal. That's great value for a player you're going to use in spot situations. And again, you don't have to keep him on your roster, but again, he can help your team. And I'm going to talk about a player who I keep on saying, Javonte Green. He plays guard spot. When I say he plays guard for the Bulls, he plays point. He plays shooting guard, and hell, he plays 4. He plays every position for the Bulls. Obviously, not a center, but nonetheless, he's going to be inconsistent at times. And then with the Bulls, you got to realize they have a big 3, right? And they have other role players that are ahead of him. But with the Bulls, you also got to realize 2 of their top role players. You got Bull and you got Caruso, who are out with injuries, and now also Io. He dealing with a concussion, so that's another player that's out. Javonte has been getting some minutes and producing, helping the Bulls, and as long as he has value, you pick him up and you use him. I picked him up last night, and the reason why is because I'm like, I need a forward to help me out for Friday and Saturday. So I'm like, okay, let's pick him up. He's the best option available for me. So you may realistically be in a league and you're looking like, damn, the best option on waivers may be Green, but if he can get me 20 points in a points-based league, I'm happy with that. He's starting for the Bulls again, and right now he's rostered in 32% of leagues, so at least 32% of the league is of Yahoo leagues are thinking like, okay, he's a player that is producing. And again, this is deep leagues, and I believe this is short term. And again, I will stress it again, short term, and it's because once the Bulls get healthy, back at full strength, sure, he may have a role, but you're going to have too many other mouths to feed who are better players, so he's not going to produce. Season averages 7 points, 4.2 rebounds. That's solid for a player you just want to help you maybe one game. After tomorrow, I'm going to move on from him, okay? But you don't just look at one game or one day of the week. You got to look. Like I realized Wednesday, hey, I need some help for Friday and Saturday. So I'm looking through and I'm like, okay, he's going to be able to help me. That's sometimes how you have to approach it. Okay, so many ways you gotta look at things and approach the situation. The last week, over 11 points, 4.4 rebounds, 1 block, and 1 steal. He's playing very well right now for this stretch, and that's when you want to jump on a player and add them and insert them in your lineup when you need to, when they are producing. This may be the time. This may be the only period of time he produces. But guess what? You picked him up. He's helped your team, and then you move on from him. Some players to keep an eye out for. So Cam Reddish finally got a chance. I was thinking that once Cam was traded from the Atlanta Hawks to the New York Knicks, he would get some playing time, and showed him he's a very good defender. He's a 3-and-D guy. But then I had to realize Tibbs is the damn coach. Obviously, I'm a Chicago Bulls fan, so I know how much Tibbs does not like young players. He go with a 50-year-old player before he go with a young 20-year-old player who has potential to be 3-and-D in Cam's situation. But nonetheless, Cam had the opportunity to play the other night with Barrett out with ankle issue. He's capable of being a two-way player. Why the hell did the Knicks trade for him if they're not using him? You got to understand something, New York Knicks. Tibbs is not looking to play young players. But the Knicks also got to realize your team's not going to make the playoffs this year. So you need to start looking at players like Cam. Let Cam play. He can play the guard or forward spot. He's a two-way player. You was able to see flashes during last postseason. Don't trade for the kid if you're not even going to use him. He was probably happy as hell to get out of Atlanta, but probably like, damn, I played more in Atlanta. Keep an eye out because he had an increased role the other night. I'm hoping that it's not really just due to injuries. I'm hoping that he has the opportunity, played very well, and Tibbs will say, ooh, okay. At one point with the Bulls, Tibbs had no choice but to play the younger players like Jimmy Butler. And once they started playing, look what Jimmy Butler is now. Cam can be that type of guy because he has the potential. Great defender, two-way player potential. But you won't know if you have a coach like Tibbs who's not going to play them. But again, he played more minutes the other night and played very well. So kind of keep an eye out for him. Let's talk about Kenrich Williams. That's another player. He's been playing very well for OKC. He's only rostered in 3% of leagues. Over the last week, 8.3 points, 7.5 rebounds. Get you between 18 to 20 fantasy points. That's not bad value. Raul Neto is a player that I'm saying keep an eye out on because Bill, done for the season. Dinwiddie is no longer in the building. He's a better option than Ish Smith, and he played very well the other night. So that's a player to check for the Wizards. He plays guard. So Garrison Matthews, kind of watched that situation. He was traded to Houston. He was getting some minutes here and there with Boston, very inconsistent. I'm not saying run and pick him up or any of these guys who I say keep an eye out for. But what I am saying is keep an eye out for him because the opportunity is there. Eric Gordon is never healthy, in and out of the lineup. Matthews played very well the last game, and he's a player you keep an eye out for if you see that, hey, this player is a player that they're going to continue to insert in the starting lineup or give him the minutes, and he's a player you can look at spot starts, DFS, check for him. Stock up. Andre Drummond traded to BK. To me, he should be the starter for BK. He was averaging 6.1 points on the season for the 76ers and 8.9 rebounds. I feel like those stats should increase. I've always felt like Drummond should be started. And obviously, you're not going to start over the Embiid if you go to the 76ers. I always thought that BK could have been an option last all season, but guess what? He's here now, should be their starting center going forward and should produce. If nothing else, Andre Drummond is going to rebound the hell out of the ball. Anthony Simons, stock up. Lillard, don't know when he's coming back, if he's going to come back this season. Obviously, CJ McCollum has been traded. This should be more opportunity for Simons. Let's see what he can do. Stock down, Eric Bledsoe, traded to the Blazers. He's not going to be starting over Simons. Don't see it. He's most likely going to be coming off the bench. And right now, he's dealing with injury. So stock down. Amir Coffey, stock all the way down. God damn it. I mean, hell. minutes decrease. They got Norman Powell now and Robert Covington. Covington, I believe, we'll see. He's been up and down this season. They got a lot of players who play the same damn position. So it's just a hot mess with so many players playing the same daggone position. Thomas Bryant, stock down. They traded for Porzingis, and then I'm thinking like, okay, well, shit. Oh, and I'm like, okay, well, hell, is Porzingis going to even play? Stock down, y'all. Thomas Bryant. The Washington Wizards traded for Porzingis, but we know Porzingis is always in and out of the lineup. So I'm gonna say stock down a bit on him. Rashaan Holmes, stock all the way down. One, he's been inconsistent this season. Jones was snatching up some of his minutes. However, they traded for Sabonis. So obviously you're starting Sabonis over him if you're the Kings. But then again, hell, it's the Kings. Who knows what they can do? But that's just a no-brainer. You don't have to be the Kings to know that Sabonis is the guy. But nonetheless, Holmes, stock all the way down. I don't even think he's a player that I would keep on my roster. I haven't in the league, haven't dropped him yet, but I'm going to drop him. I've been giving him an opportunity. Guys, I took over a team for someone not ideal to what type of roster I would have drafted, but I made it work. But the damn team has way more guards than anything, and there's not a lot of forwards in free agency I look at that has value. So I've been keeping Holmes on my roster, but he gone, y'all. He's gone. I'm about to release him and move on from him. And I honestly feel, and this is the wild one, I feel like LeVert's value may take a slight hit because there is more talent on the Cavs, okay? And so I'm looking at it with new offense, opportunities may decrease. Right now, Garland is out. But again, you got so much young talent on that team. However, I'm hoping that his scoring does not take a hit because he was playing very good for the Pacers when he played. When he's healthy, he's playing very good. He's scoring the ball. The last 2 games for the Pacers, he got me over 40 plus, maybe even 50 fantasy points. During those 2 games, like 47, 48, and over 50 in the other game. So very capable of producing. So I'm hoping that I'm wrong when I say his value takes a hit. And I'm not saying his value will take a hit because he's not talented. It was more of a, well, your talent's going to take a hit. Your production is going to take a hit because of the talent and everything that the Cavs are doing. But I could be wrong, and I want to be wrong about it because I got Caris LeVert, and I want him to produce. All right, y'all, make sure you subscribe to the channel. And if you enjoy listening to podcasts, we are out here in these fantasy basketball streets. We are on Spotify, Apple, Google. We are everywhere. So make sure you check us out and leave some comments on some players that you are considering adding this week. And also let me know players that you have to consider moving on from because their stock has taken a hit due to the trades and all of the movement. Y'all make sure you have a great weekend. Peace.
Thanks for listening to The Score Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to The Score for more fun and great advice on how to win at fantasy basketball. And if you've got comments or questions about The Score, send them to waiverwirequeen@gmail.com. The Score.